guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoilery gripe video on Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire. As I said, this video will have spoilers in it, but if you want to check out my spoiler-free review, I will link that down below. So if you guys haven't already seen my discussion video on Bad Boys, I recommend you go and check it out because that'll be more of a discussion on probably why I feel this way about this book and kind of background. But for those of you that don't know, I did not like this book. I would go so far as to say that I hated this book. For a lot of reasons. I thought that it was kind of sloppily put together, and I thought that a lot of things didn't add up, and I didn't like the characters. I really hated both of the characters, and I ended up skimming the last 150, 200 pages of this book and gave it a 1 star. Really, really didn't like it. And if you watch my review, it's because of the fact that the negative, toxic, emotionally abusive relationship in here was romanticized and shown as something that's a good thing. And I'm just not okay with that on so many levels. So as I mentioned in my review, when I was done reading this book, I actually pulled up a domestic violence website that I use in my work as a social worker that shows kind of like domestic violence red flags and red flags for the beginning of a relationship. And Travis hit a lot of them. And it's not just like an opinion that this is a bad relationship or a relationship that I just hated because I just didn't like the characters. Like, these are literally red flags for domestic violence, and that is why I hated the relationship so much. I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. So one of the first things this website talks about is quick involvement and very speedy involvement. So this is 6 months or less before living together or engaged, says you are the only one who can make him or her feel this way, pressures you for commitment. So Travis hit on a lot of these. Travis was like, you know, Abby, you are the only person that can make me feel this way. And that's another thing. There was so much slut shaming and just girl on girl competition in this book. I hated it. And I see that a lot in New Adult, but that really just made me bristle at the very beginning.
You all have got to stop calling each other sluts and whores. It just makes it okay for guys to call you sluts and whores.
Whenever you have a character, male character, that is so hot that every female is flailing over him, it's not realistic. That does not happen in real life. Women do not just dissolve into slobbering puppies at a moment's notice over a guy. I've never seen that happen before in my life. And it doesn't even happen to like Brad Pitt and stuff like that. Like, just women have control of their emotions. And for them to just have like every female that ever came in contact with Travis was like just a puddle and twirling their hair and being stupid and wanting to sleep with him. No, it's not realistic. Yeah, some women could be like that, but not all of them. And then because of that, we had this like weird slut shaming happening where Abby and America both thought that like all other women are sluts. And no. And can we just get some like supportive girl friendships, please? Instead of like every other woman but me is a slut and I'm not a slut and every other woman's a slut and every other woman is gross and da-da-da and I'm so different. No. Women are cool. I like women. I like my fellow women. Stop it. The next category was unrealistic expectations, compliments you in a way that makes you seem superhuman. So I'm not just saying like regular compliments, you're so pretty, but like ways that are so elevated, so above the norm for compliments. Very dependent on you for all your needs, expects you to be perfect, and says things like, I'm all you need, you are all I need, etc., etc. This is very indicative of how Travis and Abby were. Travis was like, you were perfect, you were so hot, da-da-da-da-da, all this stuff, like, but in a more elevated way, and that, you know, she was all he needs, and they belong to each other, and that whole, like, belonging, possessiveness is very creepy to me. And I didn't touch on this before, as far as the rush into commitment, but him getting the tattoos was the creepiest thing ever, forcing her into commitment before she was ready. She kept saying, slow down, da-da-da-da-da, and he just wouldn't, and he got the tattoos without asking, and kind of forced them into this commitment. Getting the dog was another commitment thing, like, oh, now we have a dog together, so you gotta stick around. And it was seen as romantic, and even at the end when she got the tattoo, at the end, was like, putting it off as like, oh yeah, that's fine that he did that. It's not fine. That, I mean, if you want to get a tattoo with your spouse, that's your own opinion, that's fine. But when you're getting a tattoo after dating for like 2 weeks or however long it was, and like cementing this person into your life forever, and they're telling you to slow down and you refuse to, it's not good. The next, and probably the most important thing as far as this relationship, is the controlling behavior. So, advises you how to dress. There were multiple instances of Travis telling Abby how to dress and basically saying that if you go out in that, I'm gonna be in prison, I'm gonna hit somebody, da-da-da-da-da. Control yourself, little baby. Like, so if someone looks at your girlfriend and they think that she's hot, you said that she's hot. It's okay, she's not gonna cheat on you. Do you trust your girlfriend? Like, you can't wear that you're too hot in that. You can't wear that tank top. You need to go change. It happened like 2 or 3 times, and it's not okay. Pretends to be concerned with your safety or your productive use of time. He was always all over Abby about where she was and what she was doing if she wasn't with him. Called her all the time, always said that he was concerned for her safety or like financially when the whole stuff with Benny happened and he was like, I just want to take care of you. And she's like, I don't need you to take care of me. Don't do this, that thing that I don't want you to do. You're getting involved with the mafia. Don't do that. And he was like, no, I just want to take care of you, babe. Like, no. Becomes extremely worried or angry when you are late, constantly questioning who you're spending your time with, what you did, da 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 da. Checks in on you constantly, always is calling, etc., etc. So that's the whole thing with like Parker. Maybe Parker wasn't the best person ever either. Travis didn't have a right to like pull Abby out of her dates, to like pull her out of the car when she was making out with Parker before her and Travis were even dating. Just always monitoring her behavior, always calling her. If she left and needed some time alone, like if they were having a fight or whatever, constantly calling her, breaking down her door at her dorm, breaking the stuff at the apartment, so much that like America is saying that he's scary. Like, these are not okay things. And then in the same kind of realm, jealousy, wants to be with you constantly, follows you around or frequently calls during the day, etc. So yeah, the jealousy thing with the clothing, with the calling, with the checking up on, everything. He was allowed to sleep with all these other women before they even started dating. He had a threesome on the couch when she was on the other room before they started dating, but she couldn't even kiss Parker? What? Another category is hypersensitivity, easily insulted, sees everything as a personal attack, has a tantrum about the injustice of things that happen to him, goes off about small irritations, looks for fights, and blows things out of proportion. He hits every single one of them. And I get that Travis is like a more violent person. I'm okay with that. But he would get so upset over anything. He would punch people over the smallest things. How he didn't get an assault charge during this book is insane. The guy would go off on people in the cafeteria and no one did anything. Nobody called the cops on him. He would beat people into a bloody pulp over like saying anything to him or Abby, over a guy touching her wrist, I think at a bar at one point. Like, how is this okay? That is not romantic, and that is not okay, and that's not something that adults do. There are so many more things that I can't even go into it, but you probably get the idea. Travis is not a good person for all the things that I mentioned, and just how even when they like would break up, he would just be like, you can't leave me, you know, crawling on the floor, you know, begging her not to leave him, stalker activity, you know, like breaking things, telling her how to dress, beating people up over the smallest things. I'm okay with a fighter. I am. I'm okay with that kind of character. But over big things, choose your battles as a human being. But he would do it over the smallest things. There are so many problems that I have with this book. Aside from the character, like I said, Abby and Travis, the relationship was unhealthy, and just how everything was kind of put together. I don't think that Abby needed to be a virgin in order for her to be considered a good girl. I would actually prefer her to be more of like a bad girl, especially once we got her backstory of her being this like gambler and from like a gambling family and living in Vegas and all this stuff. Why was she portrayed as such a good girl at the beginning, and then once she has sex, it kind of turns like this different kind of character, and how she treated sex was just kind of very polar opposite from how she was in the beginning. And just her whole, like, the gambling backstory and involved with the mafia, but she's this good girl, but, like, it doesn't really go with the good girl persona if you're, like, involved with that, and I get that she left that behind, but it's still a part of her personality and part of her past, so it just didn't really gel well. And how basically she forgave Travis for everything, and he would just go from being one person to a different person, and moody, and just all over the place, and really sweet one second, and really awful another second, and all that was forgiven because at the end, they got married, and she got a tattoo, and it's just like, I was done. I was done a little over halfway in. I just couldn't do it anymore. I'm actually exhausted talking about it, because this book actually makes me, like, really sad, because I am really worried for people that read this book and think that that's an okay relationship and look for that kind of guy, because that guy exists in a lot of places. And I really hope that the people that read this know that this is a bad relationship and that don't romanticize it. If you can read a book like this and like really distance yourself from it and know that this is not an ideal relationship, that's great. I can't do that, because it bothers me so much, and I really hope that this doesn't fall into the hands of somebody who thinks this is okay. Either guy or girl. Yeah, there are girls being subjected to this and kind of like seeing this kind of relationship and thinking that it's okay, but there are guys that are reading this and thinking that it's okay, and that bothers me. So this book bothers me. So comment down below, let me know what you thought of Beautiful Disaster. I know a lot of people loved it. I know when I was talking about it on Goodreads and Twitter that a lot of people loved it. A lot of people hated it. Comment down below, let me know. If this is one of your favorite books, I'm sorry. I have a lot of problems with it on a lot of like moral levels, personally. I don't think it's a good book. I don't think it's a book that should be out there. I think that there's a better way to do a destructive relationship in a way that's not physically destructive and detrimental to people and abusive. You can have a destructive relationship and a complex relationship without it being abusive. There's a line, and this book crossed that line, and I'm not okay with it. So I feel bad doing the cheery sign-off after having like a very kind of depressing and darker book discussion. But comment down below, let me know what you thought, let me know your opinions. Even if you disagree with me, as long as we're respectful, I'd love to hear your opinions. So comment down below and talk to me about this. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye!